I'm speechless in front of the food I've spent hours to prepare. Why would my respected brother-in-law's wife be so cruel to me? Sophia is a 27-year-old office worker with a family of 3, including my husband Tom and our 3-year-old son. Tom, who is 4 years older, and I started going out as boss and subordinate. We frequently went out for drinks together, getting close, and began dating. We continued our relationship without incident and married a year later. We got a house for our children, who are expected to have in the future, and are now enjoying happy days together. Even though everything looked going swimmingly, there was a problem in our life. That is Jack's wife, and Jack is Tom's brother. Mia is her name, and she is my brother-in-law's wife. Let me first tell you about Tom and Jack. Jack is Tom's 10-year-old older brother. Tom and his siblings lost their father in an accident when they were young. Their mother, who had previously been a housewife, got depressed as a result of the shock. Even when she regained some of her strength and was able to return to work, she could only work part-time because she had previously been a full-time housewife. As a result, Jack, who was a college student at that time, dropped out and went to work to support his family's finances. Jack said, "I want Tom to go to college properly." And he worked hard without complaining. Tom was able to go to college with the assistance of some scholarship and work at his current company because of Jack. Jack was full of happiness when Tom and I went to greet for our marriage my mother-in-law and Jack. Tom also expressed his gratitude to Jack on every occasion. And at the wedding ceremony, he expressed his gratitude to Jack with tears, when he said, "If you weren't my brother, I wouldn't be here today." The room was filled with tears. Jack has never said to Tom with an air of condescension. He was always generous, cheerful, and thoughtful to my husband and me. However, after we got a house and started living near Jack and his family, Mia frequently told me, "You should be thankful to my husband." Jack's job keeps him very busy, and he frequently has to go on long business trips and stay overnight to work overtime. Mia always comes to our house on these occasions. Jack and Mia live about a 5-minute walk away, and she always drops by without an appointment. They always come to our house to eat and bathe their children, then let me to take care of them, before returning to the house, being ready for bed. She is also very selfish, saying things like, "I'm not in the mood for Western food today, so please make it Japanese." Or, "My child wants a hamburger steak today, so please cook it," and so on. We couldn't insist on strongly, though, because she was the wife of Jack, to whom we had been indebted to. "Tom, don't you remember that thanks to Jack, you were able to go to college and got into a famous company? Because of you, Jack only graduated from high school and is having a hard time getting ahead in his current company. If he had graduated from college, he would have had a better career. That is why you got a new house, but we have used house, so you wouldn't pay for it by doing those for us." Mia said to him when Tom once insisted on her. When she told this, Tom always gets silent and unable to respond. He objected that she might be delegating too much housework to me because she is a housewife and I work full-time. However, he is reluctant to speak about the favor he owes Jack. "Sorry, but it is thanks to my brother that I'm here today, so could you please be patient and work things out with Mia?" Tom asked me. I reluctantly agreed to his request. Her demands increased as a result of our attitude. Her annoying behavior was primarily divided into 2 categories. As I previously stated, she comes to our house to eat or bathe, and she uses me to make herself look good in front of our relatives. Our relatives are coming to our house, and I want to cook dinner for them and entertain them, she said at first. I thought that I was also going to talk with my relatives, but when I finished cooking, she kicked me out saying, "Well, our relatives will be here soon, so you should go home." When I later heard what my relatives and Mia were discussing, they talked that she had done all of the cooking and praised her for being a good cook. This didn't happen just once or twice. Every time Mia invited a relative over, she made me cook for them, sent me home. Of course, I decided dishes and prepared them, and I paid for the ingredients. Mia never even cut the ingredients for me. In addition, I was always responsible for preparing mid-year, year-end gifts and other thank you gifts for Jack's bosses and relatives who had assisted him. They were always mailed in Mia's name. She would frequently give me instruction when the time came. Jack's bosses and relatives praised her as a really attentive wife and an accomplished wife at every family gathering. You should learn from her, Sophia, I was told. I can tell you how many times I swallowed the words, I am the one preparing. Tom and I told her, it is still fine for us to prepare for this, but you have to pay for it. We also have people to whom we have to send mid-year and year-end gifts, so it costs many times more than it should. I explained to Mia, but she refused to listen. Isn't it cheap compared to what Jack has sacrificed? Jack covered your tuition and living expenses. You are aware of this, correct? How can you claim about money only from a year-end or mid-year gift? She told Tom. She accused me, saying, You know, Jack will be prized when he is said, I'm a good wife because of the details I put into these things. That's the same as Tom repaying Jack's kindness, right? A wife who doesn't help her husband to repay his kindness is the worst. Besides, since I noticed the timing of such gifts precisely, you won't forget them either. Mia is quarrelsome in this way, and she uses Jack's favor for Tom to give us orders. We were in charge of all seasonal letters and New Year's cards, as well as mid-year and year-end gifts. If something bad happened, she'd say, Tom has become a great man because of Jack, as if it were cliché. Furthermore, she says things like, Rather, you should ask us if you want to do it without telling you. I was mortified as I checked the expenses for every month and every event. Then, the decisive event occurred. Mia asked me to prepare a meal for a dinner party for about 20 of our relatives at her house during the summer event. For summer and New Year's, our relatives frequently gather at someone's home, usually at the home of a more senior relative. Mia, on the other hand, said, Please come to our house. Her relatives were overjoyed because they knew she was a great cook and a thoughtful woman. However, she expected me to do all of the preparation. Tom had another commitments on that day, so I couldn't ask him to help. When I asked how she planned to pay for it, he said we'd have to do it ourselves. Preparing food and drinks for 20 people is a significant drain on our family finances. I told her that we should at least split the bill, but she refused that. She said, as usual, Jack has been put through a lot of hardship, so he deserves at least that much. When I told her that, at the very least, discuss it with your brother-in-law, she screamed at me. I will not forgive you if you do that. Jack is currently busy with his work. Are you returning kindness with ingratitude? I was at my limit. However, the day of the dinner party was getting closer. I looked at Mia, but she didn't look being in a hurry or being preparing in any way. I had no choice but to begin planning for the event several days in advance. I had also been making some behind-the-scenes preparations. The day of the dinner came. I began preparations early in the morning and finished them a few hours before the meeting time, despite being exhausted. Mia came to check on me after all of the preparations were completed. Mia, all preparations have been completed, and I believe they can come at any time now, I told her. Then, looking at the dishes on the table, Mia exclaimed, What are you doing? Food should be eel rice, isn't it? She got perplexed. But you didn't tell me to prepare eel rice, I replied. You should know that. It's so embarrassing. Our relatives is gathering for the summer festival, and they believe I can't even prepare eel rice. Please place your order for the eel rice right away. No, I've already prepared enough food for everyone, and the fish I purchased is fresh, so I haven't prepared such an embarrassing dish, I replied. It has to be eel rice, Mia insisted. She refused to listen to me. She also insisted that we order the special one for all of us with our own money. When I asked her to pay for it, she said she'd never do it. I couldn't take it any longer and protested what I had done once more. I told her that whenever she invited her relatives over, she made me cook for them, and that she came to our house every day when Jack was not there. Also, that we prepared all the gifts, including mid-year and year-end gifts, and about today. Mia responded by talking about Jack's gratitude, so I made another revelation here. Mia, you even had an affair with someone you met on dating app or something, didn't you? You are a housewife, but you leave a lot of things to me. So I was curious what you were doing, so I looked into it, I replied. Oh, so you knew about it, but I'm afraid you don't have any proof. I'm handling well with that, and it doesn't matter. You're doing me a favor by cooperating with me, so it's like you're returning the favor, she responded with a laugh. Mia was unconcerned, despite the fact about the affair had been revealed. On the contrary, she brought up what Jack has done for Tom once again and said, You will repay our family for the rest of your lives. At this point, I was silent and removed food in silence. I'm leaving. I will never return, I said as I packed my belongings and left. Mia was yelling something about ordering some eel rice first or something from behind me, but I ignored her and left. Some minutes later, I received phone call repeatedly from Mia on my phone. When I was forced to respond, she exclaimed, What? What the hell is going on? She sounds panicked. Is there something wrong? I asked her deliberately. I have so many inquiries. She made a great fuss. She continued, I rearranged the dishes you made, and I ordered eel rice because I had no choice and paid for it with my own money. But none of my relatives came, and it appears that they know everything we were discussing earlier. I couldn't stop laughing. I was also surprised that she rearranged the food I had brought down. The reality is as follows. I couldn't take Mia's arrogance any longer. Mia was going to criticize me, but I thought if I talked to Jack honestly, he'd give me good advice. I also assumed that if it were Jack, he would not say something like, Have you forgotten how much I owe you? When Jack listened to me, he didn't seem to believe me. Mia always gave good face for her relatives, but she also pretended the perfect wife for Jack. When Jack returned home from work, she made him a hot meal with showing him smile, despite the fact that those food was the one we still wanted to eat the next day. She brought a large amount of food from our house arrogantly. She also told Jack that they frequently invited me to dinner, but she told Jack not to tell him because they didn't want Jack to be bothered, Mia explained to Jack. She never told him that I was involved in any of the gifts, but always told him with a smile. It is natural for a wife to do such details to save her husband's face. Jack was always even impressed, saying, I got a wife who is too good for me. As a result, Jack lost his words when he listened to my story. Jack is a good man, so he didn't say I was lying, but he did think there must be some misunderstanding between us. So I considered how I could show him the proof. Well, will you allow me to get the evidence? I requested Jack's permission. First and foremost, I decided to record the usual conversations when Mia visited our house. I recorded the conversations in which she was selfish about food. And she said that we had no right to speak back to her if we considered Jack's kindness to us. I recorded the conversation and asked Jack to listen to them. When he listened to them, he lost his words. She also informed Jack that she and I intended to work together to prepare a dinner party for her relatives. So I got his permission to record that day. From the point where I was preparing the meal for the relatives, and to the point where Mia was ranting about ordering eel rice with my money and admitting the affair, I was connected to Jack and his relatives via video call. I had informed my family ahead that we would connect the video call at this time on this day. This was how Jack and his relatives learned the truth about Mia. After I left, relatives called Mia and said, "I can't believe Sophia had prepared all of the year-end and mid-year gifts until now, taking advantage of Jack's kindness and even adultery. Shame on my relatives." They were bombarded with allegations. Mia attempted to deal with the situation using her ready tongue, but the evidence caused her to slur. The majority of her relatives told her, "I'm cutting ties with you," and hung up the phone, leaving Mia stunned. Jack, who had said he would be a little late for work that day, came home, told Mia what had happened, and asked her what was going on. He later told me, "I am disappointed," he said. When he told Mia that you had caused problems for my dear younger brother and his wife while I was not there, and that you even had an affair, she burst into tears. She told him that she harassed me because she didn't like the fact that I was young and that his brother and me had a nicer house than she did. She also claimed that she was having an affair because she was lonely due to he was not at home often. She claimed that after hearing Tom read a thank you letter to Jack at the wedding, she devised a plan to make them to feel owe him and force me and Tom to do what she said. I was furious that she continued to harass me for such a reason, but I also felt sorry for Jack. I worked so hard for Tom, not to make him owe me, but because he is my precious little brother. It was not for the sake of saying, "I did this for you back then." I'm overjoyed that he's now working for a good company and developing into a wonderful person. And I'm sorry, Mia, thinks my salary isn't very good. But that's not Tom's fault. It's my lack of effort, he explained to Mia. We also discovered that she had left their children at home while seeing her adulterous partner. And Jack intended to divorce and give him alimony and custody. Mia was up in arms, claiming that she did not want a divorce. She agreed to a slight reduction in alimony in exchange for him properly divorcing and giving him custody. The affair was discovered by her partner's spouse, who also sought full alimony. Mia returned to her parents' house and worked several part-time and day jobs in order to pay the double alimony and child support. Mia was looking disheveled when he met Mia a few months later for a visit to see his child. Jack later apologized to us and paid for the ingredients and alcohol on the day of the dinner party. He also promised to pay for the meals Mia had eaten at our house and the gifts she had made us prepare for her. But Tom and I talked about it and told Jack that we were done with that money. I apologized to Jack because while this incident was intended to avenge Mia, it also brought him to his family. I don't think Mia would have felt remorse if I hadn't done that much, Jack laughed. If anything, I am an unfit husband for not noticing Mia's behavior until now, he said, looking sad. Jack is currently saving his work and caring for the child. We keep in touch with Jack, and on days when he is unable to make, we care for his child at our home or invite him over for dinner. If I didn't have to hear phrases like, "Do you have gratitude to Jack?" we could get along and have a better relationship. We learned a lesson that there are people who make you feel a lot, even though it is not a favor you gave. Tom and I laugh.